Alexandre Aja is a filmmaker I'm very intrigued by. I found his early work problematic from a narrative perspective, while displaying an exciting visual talent and an unrelenting horror attitude. As his career has developed, his filmmaking has matured. He has shifted from a reliance on gruesome practical effects towards a more emotionally driven narrative filmmaking philosophy that dabbles in horrifying moments. This shift in his philosophy of horror has allowed for some unique works within the Hollywood horror landscape. His newest film was a return to Hollywood after his French-language film Oxygen was released on Netflix in 2021. Lionsgate released Never Let Go theatrically, replacing Saw 11's original release date after that film was delayed a year. The film's screenplay was written by Kevin Coughlin and Ryan Graspy, originally titled Motherland. Director Mark Romanek was attached to the project before Aja took over. The film was shot in Vancouver from April 17th to June 2nd, 2023. The film stars Halle Berry, Percy Daggs IV, and Anthony B. Jenkins. Gregory Levasseur, the longtime Aja collaborator, again served as the second unit director, along with fellow collaborator Maxime Alexandre as cinematographer. Elliot Greenberg served as editor, with music by Robin Couder. It was released on September 20th, 2024, and has struggled at the box office, making barely over $20 million worldwide so far off its reported $20 million budget. The film has been met with mixed critical reception. With this brief context laid out, let's review Never Let Go. Aja starts the film with a clever homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, using our genre knowledge against us to deliver a small jump scare. This effective opening moment showcases his continued love for the genre. The film then follows a basic story structure built around a core concept, exploring the idea of familial connections ropes in the home as a space of safety against an increasingly apocalyptic outside world. We are introduced to three main characters, a mother and her two sons, and are briefly explained their situation. Living deep in the woods, they are survivors of a broader social downfall. A malevolent force the mother simply describes as the evil is always surrounding them, and they must never leave the protection of their home without being tethered to a rope. This concept is simple enough and not overly explained. Instead, the increasing escalation of the stakes of letting go continues to grow. We are slowly brought into the routine of these characters and can see their perspectives. We see the evil entity from the mother's perspective. We understand Nolan's rebellious instinct. We feel the gravity of their situation, and this allows for the horror to be all the more effective. We experience this story in such strong emotional terms thanks to the excellent acting. Usually child actors in horror movies are something I dread, but these kids are excellent. Along with Barry, they carry the film. This allows for a slower burn psychological approach to work. We feel Barry's character's growing dread and paranoia with each near-miss encounter with the evil, further cementing her misery. We also get small moments of humanity that showcase why she still fights so hard. The narrative does a good job of never fully committing one way or another to answering whether the evil is real, preferring ambiguity to over-explanation. We aren't fully sure if this is a psychological condition or a truly demonic entity. The way I'm describing this may make it sound like a slow burn art house horror film in the vein of an A24 film, but this is not the approach taken. Instead, we get something that is more uniquely an Aja film, mixing jump scares with slower moments of human connection with psychological deception, all within a broader context of survival. This can be a brutal movie, but not in the way that Aja's films were brutal early in his career. There is a moment in this film that is gut-wrenching. It's the scene involving the dog. That was a truly emotionally devastating moment. We get a small relief when the dog survives, but this is the slightest respite that only leads to an even more brutal moment that kicks off the rest of the narrative. Even after Mama's death, we are still left in this ambiguous space. The hiker is very compelling as a potential human or as a source of evil. The audience is constantly left in this state of uncertainty. The ending to the narrative is not tied up in a nice bow. This ambiguous narrative approach is pushed to its limit, and we are left on a cliffhanger ending. There are lots of questions we are left with, but I like this. This feels like a much more earned sense of an unsatisfying conclusion than we got in High Tension. That was unsatisfying due to a strong sense of debilitating confusion and narrative incoherence, while in this film it's due to an uneasy feeling of the horror lingering on. This is a decidedly un-American horror film. Nothing is explained. Instead, we get strong visual moments of horror and emotional logic carrying the narrative to the end. This is a strong narrative and a decent screenplay enhanced by Aja's confident direction and the cast's excellent performances. The film was executed on such a high level that I can't help but feel extremely impressed at the craftsmanship on display. There is beautiful cinematography that masterfully showcases the wonderful filming location. The production design is immaculate and layered. It reflects the narrative themes as well, which is cool. The sound design stuck out to me as really well done. Each bite has weight and every snap and crunch has depth. In every element of the production of the film, there is weight, depth, and a level of artistic maturity that is fun to see. This isn't attempting to be a deep or intellectual film necessarily, but the depth of emotion is strong and sells the horror. There are moments where it feels the slow burn of the narrative might threaten to kill off all the suspense, but then a jaw brings you back in with a well-timed jump scare or a beautifully acted scene. This is a strong horror film that showcases the developing unique horror filmmaking approach of Alexandre Aja. I hope to see more from him in the future, and I recommend you give the film a chance. It was better than I expected it to be. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.